This episode is sponsored by Shutterstock.com. With over 20 million high-quality stock photos, illustrations, vectors, and video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. For 30% off, head on over to Shutterstock.com and use offer code GAMEBREAKER7. This episode is also brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial and to receive a free audiobook, just head on over to audible.com/Gamebreaker.
Gamebreaker TV.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to GuildCast 81. Today's date is July 31st, 2013. You are watching Gamebreaker. And because I said Gary Gannon was going to be back, well, of course that means he's not back. I'm here once again. Gary doesn't like you guys. He decided to go off to Vegas to gamble all of Gamebreaker's money on black. No, he went to SOE Live. He'll be back next week. Oh, wait, no, I wasn't supposed to say that. Now he won't be back next week. I guess I already put my foot in my mouth. Today, this week, the next update is almost here. We're all going to play Gladiator and a whole, a wallet just full of crap. All that and more. But first, you guys know me, love him, Mr. Richie Procopio, also known as Bogotter.
Howdy!
Yo,
Hello, Mr. Shatnett.
How's it going?
I'm doing well.
Richie,
how are you?
Good.
Yeah.
How was your vacation?
It was good. We
Good.
swam in oceans. We got burnt by the sun. I had some cocktails. It was good.
Sounds.
I'm
sounds
glad
great.
you enjoyed. I'm glad you enjoyed.
And Mr. Matt Visual joining us again from last week, who did a wonderful job pretty much carrying the show. Matt Visual, how you doing, man?
Good. Thank you for that gracious compliment.
Yes. All right, well, Richie, you know, you're back. You ready? You guys ready to talk some Guild Wars? You guys good?
Full
Here we
steam
go.
ahead.
Let's just get this started. All right. The August 6th update is the Queen's Jubilee. Now, our Scottish producer wasn't really sure if any Americans knew what a Jubilee was. Thank goodness, because I sure don't. But it's right here in my notes. It's a celebration of a monarch's reign, basically. So what does that mean for Guild Wars? Well, Queen Jenna has kind of been on the throne now for 10 years, and it's time to party. Let's do it. Let's throw a party. So she's commissioned a new gladiatorial arena, the Crown Pavilion, as a shining symbol of her people's endurance. Now, are you guys thinking that the Crown Pavilion is kind of going to be under that big tent that we talked about two weeks ago, I believe? Could that be what's under that big chasm? I mean, I know we can get in there. We can see just a big chasm, but maybe they're excavating a huge arena.
Did you just say chasm?
Chasm.
Say chasm.
Chasm.
Yeah, that's definitely what's in that under that tent. We know that. It's definitely what they're building. They're building a huge arena there, and we're going to go in there and pound some faces. It's going to be awesome.
So let me get this straight, though. There are hundreds of Canthans pretty much lose their homes and their livelihoods when the district collapses, correct? That happened.
Well, sort of. All right, slight correction there. All right, the people lost their homes and their livelihoods for sure, but it wasn't actually a Canthan district, right? That's what the designers were planning to put there, right? And then they took it out for numerous reasons and stuff. So in the actual Guild Wars 2 canon, in the lore, it wasn't actually Canthans that actually collapsed in there and had all kinds of problems with the sewer system or whatever like that. There were just people living in the
we're homes and lives and people destroyed in the process.
Yes.
So instead of rebuilding this district, or maybe, I don't know, setting up a bunch of houses for the refugees, maybe, you know, a tent city, the Queen decided to build a gladiatorial arena for entertainment. Really, Queen? Really? People's pain is your pleasure. That's how you're going to turn the other cheek, make everybody feel real good about you.
How else are you going to sell $10 hot dogs?
I guess that's how What does Logan see in her? Honestly, like that's all right. So once again, right?
He's under a spell, man.
He's gotta be. He's gotta be. So once again, obviously here, the nobility really doesn't care about little people. Just saying, they don't care. What else is kind of going on in this patch? There's something about hot air balloons, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have screenshots of hot air balloons, and we know that people are going to be able to find these hot air balloons around the world, and it will take you to Divinity's Reach. Kind of, you can kind of get there through the hot air balloons. Not much more is known.
Are these flying mounts or are these flight paths?
Yeah, right. No, it's probably just like an instance thing. You just click it and boom, you're there. Just like everything else in the game. I doubt that it'll be flying mounts. I mean, nobody wants them apparently, so I'm not gonna see them.
Except for Matt.
I want anything cosmetic. Everything that could be cosmetic should be in Guild Wars 2 because that's all they do is cosmetics, and all the gear is the same stats. So it might as well give me something. Mounts something.
I think it could be something that you fly in, but I don't think you're going to have control over it. I think it's going to be like a little living story thing, or even like a Vista technology, right, where you click on the balloon out in the world and you get this kind of panoramic view as you fly towards Divinity's Reach, something like that. Could be kind of cool, but there'll probably be achievements tied to it, I bet.
Now, there's going to be an opening ceremony for the arena on August 6th. So, maybe James Bond and the Queen will fly in on a helicopter? That, maybe?
Or
can we
hope? An airship with a big gun thing on it. I don't know, protecting the airship. I wonder if she has any assassination attempts, I wonder. Do people have to protect her? Is Logan always there? Well, of course, Logan's always there. What's
a big gun?
That'll be cool, though. Living story. Assassination attempt on Queen Jenna. Whatever.
While she's, enjoying the festivities. Why not? There'd be some living story there. We'll be igniting beacons in Divinity's Reach and then all across Krita. So, actually, this kind of seems kind of like an homage to the Olympic Games, doesn't it?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah, it's like
big arena tournaments and move. Take a light fires all from all across the world in a path. I don't know. It just kind of sounds like the Olympic Games.
Yeah, it's going to be some sort of race. So I think that the ignite the beacons might be some sort of obstacle course / mini game type thing. Sounds cool.
Now the Crown Pavilion itself is kind of being described as a mini zone, and we're basically going to be fighting representations. Big word, sorry. I know it's not a big word. Shut up, chat room. We're going to be fighting representations of humanity elements. You kind of got to wonder how can it really be if this is all where this tent is set up?
Looks like it's just a giant hole in the pictures as well. So I'm trying to think of are we going down in the hole?
Yeah,
I could be wrong. We're going down in the hole, and there's gonna be something down there.
I think Matt's right. It looks very deep actually in the screenshots. So maybe its size is deceptive in terms of it's not a huge area, but it actually goes down pretty far.
Do you guys think that what's under that tent is legitimately like what's going to come? I kind of, when I saw it, I took it just as it was meant to be covered, but it's an unfinished zone, and we'll see something that kind of constructs itself long after. I would never think that the full assets of whatever are going to be implemented are going to be there right away. But you guys think that it's more going to be like a vertical zone that goes down into the ground?
Go ahead. Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was going to say we have. I'm based on just the screenshots we've seen on the ArenaNet's updated the main page. It looks like that's definitely the area that's beneath the tent, and that they're going to have a huge kind of like deep coliseum for us to fool around in come the patch.
I think maybe down there will be that's where all the cantons kind of survived. they survived underground, and we're gonna find them under there, and that's gonna be part of the living story. I'm totally not joking right now. So
the Cantons aren't there. They're not there. There was never any Cantons there. Sorry,
do you guys wonder?
Stickler.
Do you guys wonder at all if the enemies kind of like the Char are going to be featured down there?
Yeah, that's interesting.
It might make it politically awkward.
It's funny because they mentioned somewhere on the website something like, hey, this is going to be a celebration that all races can participate in, but it is very particularly worded there where it says, featuring mighty representations of humanity's enemies. Now, are they talking about humanities meaning humans, or do they mean like humanoids, right? So, yeah, representations of humanity's enemies would certainly include Char. So that could absolutely be a little bit awkward.
Because kind of, all right, so representing the various cities of Tyria, you can name, or you can name champion of a nation and gain access to unique rewards here. So I kind of feel like the answer is going to be no, but do you guys think that all there could be a limited one-time player per city per server kind of situation there?
Like winning, like one person gets named champion of the nation out of like each server?
Why not? Give some level of prestige for the person who really kind of earns a high level, status in the tournament. What's the point of having a tournament if you can't really earn something on your server?
Server rewards will be nice, like, oh, this server is like the top of all the servers and got the highest points or the best players or whatever, and then we get, I don't know, double XP or something like that. Well, double XP doesn't really work in Guild Wars, but some reward from that could be pretty cool. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go that route. I mean,
no.
I know players like things like, oh, I'm the first level, something on the server, and I have a special achievement to say that, and people want to be the unique special snowflake. But Guild Wars 2 has consistently been everybody can be the special snowflake. So
right.
I'm not so sure they would do something like that.
So, Matt, what's the Queen's Gauntlet all about?
So you're going to be able to go inside of Arena and fight unique bosses. It reminds me of this tournament that was in Guild Wars 1. Richie, do you remember the name of it? But you fought bosses between and you get like a reward at the end. Different bosses one-on-one. But it says here that you'll be able to show your skills to the world. And your friends can cheer you on. So I'm wondering if it was instants, or is it like you're going to be able to see, like your friends are going to be able to see you fight the monsters. So I'm trying to wonder how they're going to go about that.
Yeah, I don't know. The devs have clarified a little bit on the forum, saying that there are 12 bosses. So that was actually more than I was expecting. And they have play tested it thoroughly with each class, because it is a solo affair. The immediate thing is, oh my goodness, what if they made it so it's like impossible for X class or something like that? They say it's, their internal testing has indicated that it is possible to complete all 12 bosses on any profession. Of course, some may be easier than others. But yeah, I'm totally looking forward to this. That sounds like a ton of fun, being able to, challenge yourself solo with some really cool hard bosses in there. I look forward to that for sure.
Here's the other thing to consider, though, with this new kind of arena coming in. Obviously, how's spectating going to work? Because, I mean, it seems kind of clear that we're going to be able to do that in some kind of way.
I have no idea how they would implement that in. I mean, the way how Guild Wars is running, these mini games are really kind of sketchy, right? Because you can't even play with your friends in a lot of these things. And they said there's something wrong with it and they have to kind of redo it. So I'm wondering how they're going to be able to even do this, to find the person. Thousands of people are going to be playing. How are you going to be able to find that one person? I'm pretty sure there's going to be some type of way, because you're going to be able to watch the person. And, I mean, it can't be out in the real world because thousands of people are playing, so there's no way you'll be able to see that one person that you want to see. So, I don't even know how they're going to pull this off. Maybe it's the wrong wording. Maybe the wording is wrong.
Because how can you show off your skills to the world if it's instance? And I mean, it's not. So how can everyone do it at once?
I'm thinking this. It could be like Matt said, that it's just bad wording. It could be that they just mean people are going to be able to show off their achievements or a special reward, right? A cosmetic reward of some sort.
Right.
If you beat them all, hey, look, I got this cool helm or whatever. I beat all 12 bosses. So that's what they could mean. It also could mean that they're taking advantage of maybe the spectator system a little bit, and it is going to, it might be instanced, but you might actually be able to jump in and spectate other people doing it. Who knows? That would be a cool little twist to it. Now, I know from a dev post that the Crown Pavilion itself, the actual mini zone that's under the tent, is going to be a public map, and they said it's going to be around the size of the Mad King's Labyrinth from the Halloween patch. But I think the Queen's Gauntlet is going to be an instance. Like Matt said, how else can you do that? You have to wait in line for this arena or something like that, and only one person can go at a time. It doesn't make sense to do it that way. So, I think there'll be some way, whether achievements or a leaderboard or even a cosmetic item or something like that, that'll allow you to show off that you did it, and probably not a spectator.
Interesting. All right, let's move on. But before we do, I want to tell you guys about an awesome sponsor that we have right here at Gamebreaker. Super happy to have them on board, especially because they have saved me time and time again in a lot of stuff that I've been working on. Right now, specifically, I talked about this on After Dark, but maybe you guys don't watch After Dark, so I'm going to share this story with you guys again. I'm currently working on some visual effects for a feature film. It's my very first visual effects feature film, which I'm excited to be doing, and it's a horror movie. I'm building the title sequence for a horror movie as well as some VFX, but in trying to build the title sequence, obviously you need some kind of scary elements or stock footage. You can't make everything yourself. You can make the titles, but you need some elements to put onto it to add that extra layer. What did I do? I went over to our sponsor, Shutterstock.com, and typed in horror under their footage tab, and I was actually able to find something that was quite useful in my searches. I actually use this one. Let's see here. Make sure it's on camera. Down here, these ink blots were just perfect for kind of making these interesting, kind of dynamic little effects during the title sequences that I ended up using, actually both of them. But there's a lot of really other awesome effects here under their footage setting. You can use it for a whole bunch of inspiration. Maybe I actually, there was a shot where I had to composite a moon into the background of a shot with a tree. And now I know there's no tree and moon in this shot, but I mean, I could have just simply come right here and been like, hey, instead of having me composite this shot, why don't you head on over to Shutterstock.com? It's going to be a lot cheaper than paying me to composite it and use this effect right here. And they could have used their stock footage royalty free. It would have been really simple for them. And all they had to do was head over to Shutterstock and use the offer code GAMEBREAKER7. And I would have given them 30% off their new account. It would have been great. But instead, they're paying me fat pennies, because that's the way Los Angeles works. But you guys too, if you guys need any sort of creative pictures, stock art, vectors, illustrations, Shutterstock's a great resource to use. So please head over to Shutterstock.com and support them by supporting us. All right, let's move on and keep this show going. That kind of does it for the story content that we were just talking about, but there's actually, of course, a ton of new features that are going in this patch as well. The big one is an account-wide wallet.
Yes.
Account-wide wallet. All right, so Richie, you're clearly happy. And this is for all currency, correct?
Yes. I'm gonna talk in my high voice.
I'm so excited. I'm gonna talk up here.
Yeah, everyone is freaking out about this, right? This is huge, all right? And I just want to give a shout out to ArenaNet, because what this does is it gives players, it makes players happy. It gives goodwill toward the player base. That's all it does. It does not support ArenaNet's financial goals at all. In fact, it could be working against it, because I'm sure people would be more inclined to spend money on bag slots and bank slots if they continue to have all of this currencies cluttering it up. So this was definitely a move just to make players happy, and it certainly, I counted right before the show, 22 bag slots will be saved by this change for me. What come next week?
I mean, because of the achievement boxes that we've been getting, we get a whole crap load of badges of honor. All right. So yeah, definitely
it's-
badges of honor alone will save me 10 slots in my bank.
It's
Alone.
not even just badges of honor. I mean, it's dungeon tokens, coins, karma, laurels, guild combinations, fractal relics, gem, glory. Like all of this stuff is not going to be in one place. All of it's going to be account wide. This is just absolutely a huge quality of life improvement across the game, correct?
Definitely. I would like to see all of it in one place as well, because sometimes, you leave a couple gold on your alts, and if you have a 2 billion alts, then, sometimes money can get lost. So it'd be good to have it all in one place. And it says that as soon as you unlock, as soon as it is live, you have to log into your other characters and it'll automatically be pushed into this account-wide wallet that you can get to see it. And I'm assuming that the first start was of like a collection, like the collection in your bank, where you only have 250 slots for like that one item. But I think this is going to be just like, it's not going to be like a physical form. It's actually just going to be a number. You have 1,000 badges of honor, not just 250 in a physical form or something. It's going to be like just like when you open up when you press I for your inventory, you can actually see like the gold and the badges of honor and the karma and all that type of stuff. So hopefully, it's pretty good.
They have confirmed that it's unlimited, right? So you don't just have to worry about I have 250 badges of honor. That's all I can put in here. No, it is an unlimited thing, like you said. There is one downside for me. Here's an important downside, and I know that account sharing is not something that you should be doing. But I have small children who create characters on my account, and all of a sudden they'll have access to all my gold and karma. Awesome!
Oh
That's
god!
It's not like you're gonna have to put like a leash on your children and just be like, or like a shock collar. That's my gold karma. Remember that whole thing? Remember that whole thing about how I got really good parenting tips before the show? That's just another one. Get a shock collar.
Yeah, because literally he logs in right now and he's got like 1.2 gold or something like that. But when he logs in and suddenly he's got like close to 200 gold, and he's gonna be like, ah! I'm like, no, it's my gold.
Do you think
200 gold, Richie?
I mean, well, it's
What's going on?
It's tough to say. What do you like? Do you think that they could potentially put like a parental control or like a UI feature to let you turn that off? It's tough to say. Like it'd be very simple, but clearly you're not probably doing what they want you to do in that sense.
No.
It's not necessarily bad because your kids are playing, but they'd probably rather your kids go buy a different account. If you're going to let them use your account, then you have to deal with it.
I think if you looked at the terms of service, it would say no account sharing. And I actually
don't admit that on the show.
I actually have 2 accounts. So my one son plays on the other account, and my other son shares my account with me. So, be that as it may, I'll have to deal with the the sharing of the gold and karma. It is a small price to pay. I'm totally not complaining. I'm just doing it for comedic effect here. I love this change. It's awesome.
I mean, there have been complaints about the amount of different currencies in Guild Wars 2 before. It's not anything new, but with a much more streamlined system, no one's really got any room to complain anymore, correct?
Right. It's all there.
Where are kind of all the currencies, even account-wide, where were they previously? Just bags?
They're physical things that you have to keep in your bag and your bank. And the problem is, there's all the different dungeons in the game, right? Now you think about like a World of Warcraft, which no matter what dungeon you do, you're earning the same currency, right? In this game, you're earning different tokens for each dungeon because they want you to be able to get gear that matches the dungeon that you're doing, which there's merit to that approach. But what that means is you have all of these tokens from every dungeon that you've done, and they're all different, and it's that definitely adds up over time. And just wastes a lot of space. Like I said, 22 bag slots of mine are wasted by these currencies right now.
And it's incredible convenience as well. I mean, if you're like me, I played an Azura Guardian right in the beginning of launch, and I got a lot of karma on that Guardian, right? But then I went to other characters and did other characters, and I got a lot of karma on those as well. Now this account-wide wallet will put all that karma into one place. So if you need karma to buy a bunch of obsidian shards for your legendary or stuff like that, you have that all on everybody. It doesn't matter. Even if it's on a character that, for instance, you have a noob 80, right? You just level that up to 80. you can now use the karma that you had on your main account to buy it some armor or whatever it needs. So I think this is great, especially with going to the dungeons. Sometimes you leave your dungeon tokens inside of your bank, but now it's going to be with you all the time, so you can actually go to your the sellers and buy whatever you want on any character. Well, on any character, right? I didn't even think about that until just now. So you'd be able to buy, if you made a bunch of stuff, you don't have to kind of cycle through, take it out, put it in your other character.
Here's my thing: is how hard does this have to be on the end, on the server's end of things? Because what I can't understand is, why isn't everyone doing this? It seems like it's such a nice feature to have implemented that the only reason I could understand is people would just say, oh, it's too hard. It's too hard on the servers.
I don't know a lot about how this information is stored. I'm not technical like that, but I have to imagine that they're going to do a similar approach that they did in Guild Wars 1, where they actually had like every crafting material in the game, and that's kind of how they do the bank tab in Guild Wars 2 for the crafting materials. They just have a list of, all right, here's all the crafting mats, and they put a number next to it. It seems like a simple table right on the back end. Just, all right, what is it, and how many of it do you have? And it's got to be just as easy or easier than having all these separate items in your actual, bags and bank spaces, I would imagine. I think it would save space in that you don't have a physical object that you can actually move around to different bag spaces, including your bank as well. Now you're not going to be able to do that at all. It just ends up in this nice little, table format, and it shows you a number. So I would think that it's probably saving them space, not harming space. That's a guess.
Now, this update is also looking really good for PvP players, kind of through the introduction of solo queues. And that's pretty much what everybody's been asking for, right?
Right. So, all right, so right now, the way to go into a competitive space is the tournaments, right? And you have to do it, you don't have to do it with a team. You can queue for it by yourself, but sometimes you'll be put against a team, right? A team of 5 people who are on Mumble or on some VOP, and they will crush you, right? But now you can actually have a solo queue where everyone around you is just solo and no one's with each other. So you can actually work together. Everyone, is actually paying attention to chat because they're not with somebody or something like that. And plus, also, the leaderboards are totally separate from the team queue as well. So if you don't want to, mess up your stats on your team leaderboards, you don't have to. You can just have it for its own thing. So that's pretty good. I actually want to try it out. See if I could get myself smashed faster than I already am.
Bonus rewards for dungeons are also coming. Now, what are those? How are those going to work?
So basically, you're going to get a bonus gold amount for completing a dungeon path. And for a story mode, it's going to be 50 silver. And for an explorable path, it's going to be between 1 gold and 3 gold, depending on the length and the difficulty of the explorable path. And the catch is, any of the bosses in that dungeon path that used to drop gold or some sort of currency, it's no longer going to drop any gold or currency. You will only get a financial reward from the bosses at the end for completing it. And but that said, this should incentivize people to run some of the longer or more difficult ones, because you actually get 1 to 3 gold instead of what you got before. And this is for unique dungeon paths per day. So you can't just run the same path over and over again and get this gold reward at the end.
I was talking about this with a friend, and all right, so a lot of people run Cough, right? Path 1, for instance, right? And they go and they run it. Now they're replacing the boss gold that you get with the champion loot bags, right? Which will give you a chance to get lodestones, rare materials, skill points, a bunch of good stuff, right? Right now, we don't know how good these loot bags are and how good of a replacement. Now, if you get a charged lodestone out of one of these loot bags, automatically the run is worth it, right? But if you don't and you get a lot of crap from the loot bags, then basically the Cough run is pretty much nerfed, right? And I think what they're trying to do is, a lot of people hate Cough because it damages that it raises the prices on the trading posts and stuff like that. And some people, and of course elitism, where you have to be a mesmer, you have to be a warrior in order to run KOF. What Arena is trying to do is get people to run different paths instead of just running the same path over and over again, and get rewarded for that too, adding an incentive to do more paths. I don't know exactly how nerfed KOF is going to be, but I'm pretty sure the majority, it seems half and half. It's like, oh, some people run KOF all the time, some people don't. But I really think, like, have any of you run a Raw Path 4? It's extremely long. It's extremely long. I still wouldn't run a Raw Path 4 for 3 gold. I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
But the Forgotten Path in a Raw, you might, especially if it's 2 or 3 gold, right? That one's a little bit more challenging than KOF 1, right? Or your KOF Path 1. So we know that, like, the speed run in KOF is going to be 1 gold. I mean, that's a given, right? That's going to be the least amount of reward for doing that. And but what it's going to do is people aren't going to, or I would say a lot of people will stop running KOF over and over and over again multiple times per day. They'll definitely run it the one time per day. It's still going to be worth, if you can clear that in 7 or 8 minutes or something like that and still get your 1 gold reward, sure, that's worth it. But then you're not going to get that bonus, the gold, for running that over and over again. So they're going to start to look at, all right, what are the other easy paths? What are the other quick paths? What are the other ones that are worth the gold reward at the end? And they're going to start doing more paths. It's not going to make people do all of the paths, like you said, Matt. There's some of them that are going to be terrible and not worth it, right? But there's going to be more run than just that. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about these new effects, the effect detail system. This is obviously for not making mass combat just look like giant midnight raves, pretty much, right?
Fireworks. You got this, because I looked at this and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't see much about it, unless it's gonna lower give me more frames. I don't see.
It probably will. It probably will give you more frames. It's funny that they kind of spin this on the website. They make it sound like a feature, but I don't know. It's a little sketchy. It basically sounds like when there's a large battle going on, whether you're in world versus world structured PvP or in a dungeon or whatever, they're toning down all of the particle effects, right? And this was feedback from the beta test that we talked about on the show several times, that when everyone is fighting this huge thing, you can't see anything because there's just particle effects everywhere. And it makes it sometimes difficult to dodge things, and for newer players especially, what the heck is going on, right? So it sounds like there's going to be some sort of automatic system in place to scale down all of those particle effects when you're in these big combat situations, and it might actually give you better frames and stuff like that. It's a feature.
Yeah, because the world is a mess.
They'll make it look worse on purpose. But all jokes aside, it like toning down the particle effects is definitely something that's needed for some of those, because you can't see what's going on half the time.
All right, there is actually also new armor that's in the gem store, thanks to Dolphy for screenshots. This is actually proper armor, which is great to see. All right, so let's look at these here. The light Phoenix armor. Here's the female. Wish I could make that bigger. Maybe I can make that bigger for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah, girl. Yeah. Oh. And here's the light Phoenix armor for the male.
I feel dirty now.
I tried to make that as dirty as possible, so I think I successfully win. Is it just me, or is the male version kind of boring by comparison here? Without taking away the dirty context here. I mean, it's kind of just a very nice, eloquent white suit. Here I got some awesome feathers everywhere, and I'm showing a lot of skin. Maybe I'm even molting feathers while I walk around.
It's called Phoenix armor, right? So the female version makes sense, right? It's got feathers.
Wait, why doesn't the male have any Phoenix? It's got red. It looks like fires. That works. It's Phoenix.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, it could have used a little bit more work on that. It doesn't really look like Phoenix for the male, really. It really doesn't. And looking at the design for the female, man, I could have thought of a couple cool ways they could have used all those feathers on the male, definitely. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I do really like the feathers on this design. I think that's what really makes it look. I mean, look, this is even a subliminal phoenix right here. I know I'm calling attention to the worst possible spot, but that's a phoenix. That's an eagle. You can see that. I don't really see that anywhere on the male. I see some flames on the cuffs. I see what kind of maybe looks like a phoenix wing for like the mask, but it just doesn't feel as thematic as the female version.
No, I totally agree. But keep in mind, you can dye these any color that you have unlocked, but yeah,
sure.
I agree.
All right, so also here is the medium Magitech armor. Here's the female version. Pretty awesome. And the male version.
Why do you so?
How do you tell? How can I? How can I tell it's a male version?
That's actually a female. That's actually a female.
Yeah,
that's what I thought when I pulled up the picture. Well, whatever. Let's double check this link.
It is a humanoid.
All right. Listen here, Dolphy. You gave me a picture of a female. You called me out. All right. That's but here's the thing though. That is male armor on a female Asura. So I am guessing that the Asura and Char are going to be stuck with the same version once again, right?
Aw. Poor guy.
Is that what this means?
See the armor anyway. It's so dang small.
That's what they do that with almost every Char and Asura set because there's really no physical differences between the two.
They actually I was on Reddit and all the Chars gained up together and they did some type of naked Char thing to protest against like the Char armors, I think. I saw that and they had like a whole event and everything.
I don't know what Reddit you go to.
Right. People working together on Reddit. Yeah, I don't usually go on Reddit, but
no, I mean you're going to the strange naked Char subreddit.
Oh yeah, that's a different side of Guild Wars too.
Yeah. I don't know what Matt's talking about.
All right, and finally, last up here we have the heavy Braham armor. I'm gonna say Broham. It's the Broham armor.
Broham.
If you want to be correct, it's Bram.
Bram. Oh, okay. I like Broham though, because it's got the word bro in it.
Yeah,
and this feels very bro-y. I don't know.
A bro with some ham.
It is very Nornish.
It is very Nordish, and I think it kind of fits. You know, you got the awesome horns on the helmet and nice horns on the shoulders, and then obviously we have the male version, kind of very similar, very same setup. Are these actually the exact same? No, it doesn't look like they are, but they're very similar. Why couldn't they do something like that for the freaking light armor? It's not that hard. You already designed it once. Just sprinkle it differently in different places. You did it here.
Oh man!
If those were the same for male and female, probably the female version would sell like hotcakes because one of those breasts would be exposed.
Oh gosh!
Well, clearly you don't.
We're going that direction tonight.
I had to double check. Clearly, you don't take the male version of the armor for the female. You reverse engineer it and go with maybe the female version. All right.
Well, that would look horrible too. Come on, who needs low cut armor on a male?
Let's show some leg thigh, leg man thigh.
Oh yeah, show some skin, guys.
Low cut armor. He's only half his chest is covered. Oh wait, there's some man thigh down here too. See?
Look at those knees, man.
All right. Let's just move on. I like the armors though. Outside of the fact that the Phoenix armor should have been different from the male and female, I like where the armor's designs are at. Next up, we're gonna move on to Colin Johansson's interview. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about an awesome sponsor of ours, another amazing one known as Audible. Guys, if you haven't checked out Audible, it's an amazing service with just hundreds of audiobooks. I personally will be the first to admit I do not have time to read books. I remember the last book that I set out to read was The Hunger Games. I remember I borrowed it, over Christmas from my sister and said, "Oh, the movie's coming out. I'd like to read the book before I watch the movie." Read the first chapter, was like, "Oh, this is a great book." But I know this is the type of book that I'm going to get sucked in and I'm going to like not stop reading. So I need to make sure that I set aside time to read it. Didn't set aside time ever. Didn't even read the book. Haven't read the book yet. But it's actually available on Audible, which is the perfect opportunity for me because we've said this before, audiobooks are the perfect filler. You don't have to, you can focus on them while focusing on other tasks. You can play an audiobook while raiding. You can play an audiobook while, maybe you're just leveling an altar or just playing a game. Driving to work is how I actually utilize Audible, just because it's really the only downtime that I'm able to find to get to a chance to listen or read these amazing books. So I mean, it's an amazing service, and if you guys head on, I don't have the right bumper loaded. Gary's gonna be mad. There it is, Audible. If you guys head on over to audible.com/Gamebreaker, you guys will get a free 30-day trial as well as a free audiobook, and you guys can pick up and start reading The Hunger Games or listening to The Hunger Games or any of their hundreds of other books right now. So go over and do so. All right, moving on here. Colin Johansson spoke with usgamer.net, and we've got some quotes. Unfortunately, I wasn't delivered quote cards, so you get to look at this handsome mug. When asked about seeing more serious stories, less Dragon Bash, more dragons, Colin had this to say. He said, "Yeah, I think we will. And maybe not. Just in tone, and maybe not just in tone, but also in terms of scope, grandeur, and what it really means for the world. I think we want to have our living world content. Why can't I read today? I think we want to have our living world content feel like it is really, is a bigger part of a chasing world." Quote cards would really help. So pretty much a continuation of the message that we've been getting lately, right? This is what everyone wants.
Can you start over? Start over.
Besides my awful dialogue. Let's try this again. Strike that, reverse it, didn't happen, going back. Yeah, I think we will. And maybe not just in tone, but also in terms of scope, grandeur, and what it really means for the world. I think we want to have our living world content feel like it is really a bigger part of the changing world. Got through it that time. I got another one shortly after. He continued on to say, here we go again. Are we going to do those additional maps and new regions and expand our stories so you can get to those and see more dragons? The answer is absolutely yes. It's just a matter of will those make sense timeline-wise with our other projects we're also building. Expansion. That's what he's hinting at, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I hope it. He says Guild Wars 2 style expansion is their own expansion, like their own raids and stuff. They seem like they always want to add their own twist to something. But I mean, now that they have 4 teams, they have more time to work on content. So as they catch up, this will actually be, we might actually get bigger updates and bigger dragons maybe as they update the living story and then they go to different continents and stuff like that. I cannot wait to actually see other worlds and an actual expand real world, not like this small little area like South Sun and stuff like that. I want to actually see towns and stuff like that. I can't wait to actually see that and what they do with it because, and maybe they'll add some of the mini games that we've been waiting for.
I mean, we just got some awesome labyrinth cliff zones. It's just kind of a shame those aren't permanent, right?
Right. I want something permanent, I want to go to the Crystal Desert. I want to go to all these places all over the place. I remember in Guild Wars 1, we were all over the planet. But of course, Guild Wars 1 is 7 years old and they had a bunch of expansions. So I'm just waiting for that expansion to just be awesome, hopefully, and add a whole bunch to the game. It seems like they're kind of delaying it a bit. It's like, it has to make sense. We could release it right now, but it has to make sense, right? It's like what they're saying.
I think they're. I said this a couple weeks ago, but they're laying the groundwork in year one, right? And what they're going to be doing is like they set up Dragon Bash. They have the decorations done, right? They have some of the mini games done. They've now set up the Labyrinthine Cliffs, so when the Bazaar comes back, months from now or whatever, they have that zone already built. They have the basic structure for Super Adventure Box built. They have the decorations for the Halloween and Winter's Day patches all built. And so what happens is in year two, as we get back to those releases, they don't have to build all that infrastructure. They can focus on what's different about the festival this year and add some new activities to do, add more story. And if they're not going to be changing those events too much, then they have more time to create something bigger for a different patch cycle. So I think we've already started seeing over the summer bigger patches than we were seeing at the beginning of the year. No one can deny that. But I think we're going to continue to see that trend develop over the course of the second half of this year and into next year. So I think people are just starting to see what ArenaNet's capable of with this development cycle, and I'm super excited to see it play out.
Yeah,
we've heard about dungeon revamps now, but what about Big Bad Zatan? I mean, Colin kind of confirmed that it was kind of on the list, but also had this to say. I mean, it really got finished right before the end and basically got put out the door just in time for us to ship. Did you guys kind of feel that fight felt a little rushed?
Oh, Spam 2 for about 20 minutes? Of course it was rushed, definitely. I mean, the whole dungeon was good. I mean, really good. I enjoyed that story dungeon, and then you got to the end.
Yep.
And the effects were cool, but I mean, you just see the dragon just sitting there going like this for about 20 minutes, and eventually he dies. It's like, you can't crawl down, you can't fly off. Like, what is this? So I'm hoping, I remember hearing somewhere that they're actually planning on redoing a Raw.
Yeah, I think I heard something like that. They might want to. They need to redo that boss fight. Come on, this is like the big bad guy of the entire thing. And and Matt's right. The whole dungeon feels great. It's epic, and him flying in. I mean, the model that they use for Zatan. I mean, it's a huge undead dragon with numerous heads and faces all over it, all grotesque, and the animation is unbelievable. And it flies over it, and you're like, yes. And then it attaches itself to a cliff, and you shoot a cannon at it forever until it dies. And that's all you do is you shoot a cannon at it over and over again. So it's great that they're being very candid and open about this and saying, yeah, we rushed that out the door and stuff like that. I mean, I appreciate that honesty. Now, I hope they have the resources and the ability to go back and make it the epic fight that it needs to be. Because it is one of the Elder Dragon fights, and everything about it is cool except the actual fight. So...
Looking at the personal story here, Colin also said, I think in particular there's moments in the end of your personal story where it starts feeling like there isn't, like it isn't about your character, that it's about someone else and you just happen to be tagging along. Kind of wonder what character he's talking about there. I mean, it seems kind of silly to write. It was kind of a known fact that everybody felt, right?
Yeah, I forgot the character's name, sadly. I know it starts with like a T, but that guy, Traherne. I mean, that guy could do everything, man. I want that sword he has. He's a guardian, he's a mesmer, he's a necro, he's a everything. Gosh, man, he made like. I bet you he could continue to speed run dungeons by himself, Matt. Why don't you just go roll him? Yeah, for real. I really need to call him up.
I think Scott Hawks put it one way months and months ago. He said something like Traherne's like biggest flaw is that he's not comfortable being as awesome as he actually is. You know, he actually, that's his character flaw. Like, no, I don't want to do all this. I shouldn't be doing it. I shouldn't be as awesome as I am, but I am. You know, he's kind of very vanilla and kind of very bland, and he's gotten a huge amount of flack from the community. And yeah, at points, I remember specifically, I think I was actually live streaming when Traherne is awarded that sword or that weapon. And I actually went to the chat room. I was like, why didn't they give me that sword? That was my exact reaction. Like, I just went through all the same stuff with him, and they give the sword to him. I was like, no, that's not fun. Give it to the player. So yeah, I think they learned their lesson on that one a little bit.
Now, one of the actually on the possible upcoming fractals, Colin had this to say. Well, I can say that the reactor was the first prototype of the Inquest attempt to build something somewhat similar to what players find in the Crucible of Eternity later in the game. And the location where the Thaunoma reactor was at one point in time exploded and destroyed what was once a research lab and turned. I would say turned the world inside out where it occurred. I can't give away too much more than that, but I would say that if people want to know more, they should vote for Ellen and find out. They keep just pushing those people. Either way, it's definitely something that ties more deeply into the lore of Guild Wars 2 than most would realize. So, I mean, that's super intriguing. You guys have any guesses as to what he's talking about?
I heard something of it ripping a hole in the fabric of reality or something like that. So, I mean, if that's what it was, then we will probably be sucked into this alternate reality and, I don't know, experience something pretty cool. I don't know. That'll be cool. And because you see Guild Wars do a lot of like weird stuff, kind of like, you know, Super Adventure Box and stuff like that. I would wonder like if like the Fractal would have some type of element that you could actually use like another weapon or something like that, just for like a section of the Fractal or something like that, and something happens. I wonder. That would be pretty cool. There's a lot of different ways you can do dungeons in Guild Wars 2, and I would like to see them actually expand upon that.
What's interesting is when they, you know, we talked about it on the show, when they announced what the two fractals were that you can choose between, everyone really wants to see the fall of Abaddon, right? Because it's, you know, they're comparing this. We get to see this god fall from grace versus what happened in this like explosion at a reactor in an Asura lab, and they're kind of like, you know, looking at those two choices, like, well, duh, of course we want to see the God thing, right? But I think it's the type of thing where ArenaNet really has a great idea with this Thomanova reactor, and then it really does tie into the Guild Wars 2 lore. It just doesn't sound as good on paper, and it might even be the better of the dungeons if it actually came out, because we don't know exactly what that is. We know that the Thomanova reactor, you know, had some sort of like massive explosion. We know that the Crucible of Eternity was built to replace the Thomanova reactor, and we know that the Crucible of Eternity is used to actually study the energies of the Elder Dragons. So you can logically kind of assume that if we choose the Thomanova reactor instance, we might get some more information directly related to what's going on with the Elder Dragons and maybe how to stop them. But, you know, you got to compare that guess, and it's just a guess kind of thing, but with the actual fall of Abaddon. So it's definitely a tough choice, and I don't think there is actually a good or a bad answer. I just hope over time we get to see both of these stories play out in some way, shape, or form.
Do either of you think that it's at all kind of weird that ArenaNet is kind of dangling two fractals in front of our faces, but we're only going to get access to one? It seems like they are pretty much setting up for one side to inevitably complain.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw that, I was like, "Aw, this is not cool." But it makes people, you know, it gets people talking. Like, oh, we have to gang up and pick this fractal. Oh, we have to gang up and pick this fractal. You know, oh, what does this tie in with the lore? And you see all these conversations starts happening about the game, and I think that's what they wanted to cause. And they say they haven't even touched it yet, right? They just have like the ground floor for it, and they're going to make it from scratch as soon as a vote is cast of who's going to win. So they're going to make it from scratch. I mean, maybe eventually they'll come up with the other one later on, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what they have planned for that. They might want to make the choice matter, you know, and whatever we pick, that's what's going to stay, and we're not going to see another fractal probably for another year or something.
Seems like an interesting opportunity to build a living, breathing, ever-evolving world that is actually getting influenced by the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? People want both, obviously, but it's actually cooler if we got to choose one, and that's the only one that gets put in. You know, in a way, giving the players the choice. Like, what kind of choice is it really if we're going to eventually see both?
But
You know?
they don't tell you that you're going to say. I don't know. To me, it just sounds a little bit concerning for everybody who maybe potentially wants the other one. Like, I don't. I guess you don't need to cater to both sides. I agree with you, Richie. I just know that there's going to be some people out there that are upset that they don't get to see the one that they really wanted.
It'll be good either way. They're going to make a great dungeon either way. I have confidence in that. So that's why I'm not really campaigning one way or the other. I'm cool with either choice, to be honest.
Richie Procopio, you can follow him right down there at Richie Procopio. Be sure to catch him on, I forget what your Zam show is called for WildStar.
Nexus Talk.
Nexus Talk.
Zam Official. And
be sure to go check that out.
My YouTube channel is youtube.com/bogotter. Check it out.
Go check that out, guys. And obviously, you can catch him right here, of course, on GuildCast every Wednesday. Matt Visual, you can follow him right down there at Matt_Visual. You can catch him right here on GuildCast as well. Too much visual for one man to handle? I don't know. I was trying something, didn't work out. You can follow me right down here at Mike Shaftnet. Be sure to check out everything we do right here at Gamebreaker.tv. A whole bunch of MMO-related talks. If you guys haven't checked us out before, head on over to Gamebreaker.tv and check out all the MMO news that we cover. Got a whole bunch of shows for a bunch of different MMOs, so be sure to check it out. Follow us at Gamebreaker TV. Other than that, I've already said it once, I'll say it again. I am just standing in for Gary Gannon, who is out of town this week. Hopefully, he will be back with you guys next week. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I will see you guys over on After Dark, my live call-in show on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. PDT. If you guys haven't checked that out, please, please, please do. We could use some new fresh faces and fresh callers, so please check that out. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Chat room got